$212,000. That is your salary. You say it quietly when people ask, not because you're ashamed, because you've learned that the number does something to rooms, to faces, to the way people recalibrate how they see you the moment it leaves your mouth, and you are tired of managing the recalibration. You are 34 years old. You have a title that took 11 years to earn, Senior Director. The business cards are matte black with raised lettering, and you have never once handed one to someone without feeling, for exactly 1 second, like you made it, and then the second passes. Your mortgage is $4,100 a month on a house in a zip code your salary requires you to live in, because the schools are the right schools, and the neighbors have the right cars, and the homeowners association sends letters on cream-colored paper with a logo that looks like a coat of arms, and you signed the agreement 3 years ago without reading the section about approved fence materials, and you are still quietly annoyed about the fence. Your car payment is $1,140 a month because a director drives a German car, not because anyone said this out loud, because nobody had to. The lease replaced a lease. You have not owned a vehicle outright since you were 26 and drove a 2009 Accord with a crack in the bumper and 0 payments, and somehow got places just fine. Your kids are in activities, 3 of them, between 2 children, and the activities cost $2,800 a month combined. And every time you write the check, you tell yourself, this is an investment in who they are becoming, which is true, and also a sentence that people use to stop asking whether the number is sustainable. Your credit cards carry a balance of $34,000, not because you are irresponsible. You have an MBA. You know what a compound interest schedule looks like. You are carrying the balance because the month 3 years ago when the furnace died and the basement flooded within 11 days of each other, you made a rational decision to put $18,000 on a card and service it slowly because the liquidity mattered more than the interest rate at the time, and the time never quite changed. The balance grew around that original decision, the way sediment accumulates around something dropped in still water. Slowly, invisibly, until one day you look, and the shape of the bottom is not what you remember. Your savings account holds $11,400. This number has been approximately $11,400 for 19 months. It goes up, it comes back down. It is not an emergency fund. It is a holding pattern. The actual target for your income level and household size is 6 months of expenses, which at your monthly burn rate of $21,600 would be $129,600. And that number, when you look at it directly, feels not like a goal but like a verdict. You have a 401k. The balance is $87,000. This is the number that surprises people most when you tell them, and you have told almost nobody. Because $87,000 at 34 on a $212,000 salary is the number that says everything about the decade you spent optimizing for appearance instead of architecture. You started contributing at 28, stopped for 2 years when the first child came, and the expenses restructured everything, restarted at 31 at 4%, which is exactly the employer match and exactly the minimum threshold of what a financial professional would call adequate and what the math would call insufficient. Every dollar above 4% felt, in those monthly budget reviews you do with a glass of wine at the kitchen island at 10 p.m., like a dollar you could not afford to lock away. This is the logic of someone who has confused access to money with wealth. This is the logic that built the trap you are standing in. The trap does not feel like a trap. That is the defining characteristic of this particular trap. It feels like a life, a good life, a successful life, the kind of life that when photographed looks exactly like the life you were supposed to build. The kitchen renovation was $67,000, and it photographs beautifully. The vacation last summer was Costa Rica. 12 days, $18,400 between flights and the villa, and the activities and the meals, and the private transfer that you booked, because by the last day of researching logistics you were tired, and the upgrade was $340, and at $212,000 a year, $340 is not a decision. And that sentence, that exact sentence, is the mechanism by which people at your income level bleed out slowly, without ever feeling a single wound. You are not alone in this. The Federal Reserve data says that the median net worth of households earning between $200,000 and $300,000 per year is roughly $800,000. The mean is pulled higher by people who have been doing this for 30 years. Strip out home equity, which you cannot spend without selling the house or borrowing against it, And for a significant portion of high earners in their 30s, the liquid investable net worth is a number that would embarrass them if it appeared in a headline next to their salary. It would embarrass you. You know this without looking it up because you are the headline. The colleague who sits 3 offices down, Marcus, makes $141,000. He drives a 4-year-old Subaru with a bumper sticker from a national park he went to on a camping trip, and you had a brief, involuntary moment of pity the first time you saw him park it. Marcus maxes his 401k every year. He maxed his Roth IRA every year until the income limit phased him out, and then he learned what a backdoor Roth is, and does that instead. He has a taxable brokerage account that he funds with $1,200 a month into a total market index fund, and has done this without interruption for 7 years. His net worth at 36 is $610,000. He does not have a MAT business card. He does not have an HOA. His fence is made of whatever material he wanted. You are about to learn something from Marcus that you could not have accepted 3 years ago, because 3 years ago, the salary felt like the answer to every question, and you had not yet done the math that reveals what the salary actually is, which is a ceiling dressed as a floor, which is revenue mistaken for profit, which is the most expensive confusion available to an educated person with a direct deposit. The math arrives not as a crisis, but as a Tuesday. You open every account simultaneously, something you have been doing quarterly, but this time you do not close the tabs quickly. You sit with all of them open at once, and you build the actual number, total assets minus total liabilities, and the number is $94,000. $94,000. You have been earning over $200,000 a year for 4 years. You have earned approximately $848,000 in those 4 years after taxes. Your net worth went from $31,000 to $94,000 in that period, which means that over 4 years of peak earning, you accumulated $63,000 in actual net worth, which is $15,750 a year, which is $1,312 a month, which is less than the payment on the car you drive to a job that pays you $212,000. You sit with this for a long time. The house is quiet. The kids are asleep. Your partner is in the other room, and you do not call them in, because you need to be alone with this number long enough to let it mean what it means. What it means is that you have been running an income statement while ignoring the balance sheet. What it means is that you optimized every month for the experience of wealth while systematically failing to build the structure of it. What it means is that the salary, the title, the renovation, the lease, the zip code, the cream-colored HOA letters, the Costa Rica villa, the MAT card, all of it assembled together looks exactly like financial success and contains almost none of its actual substance. Here is what changes after the Tuesday. Not everything, not immediately, but something. You call a fee-only financial planner, not the guy your company recommends who gets paid on commission, a fiduciary who charges $4,000 flat and has no product to sell you. She sits across from you and looks at the numbers without the expression you were dreading, the one that contains pity, and instead she says, "The income is real, the problem is the architecture, and we can fix the architecture." You increase the 401k to the maximum, $23,000 a year, the full contribution, and you do it before you can find a reason not to. You execute the backdoor Roth, $7,000 for you, $7,000 for your partner. You open a 529 for each child and fund both with $500 a month each. You do not renovate the basement. You do not lease the next car. When the current lease ends, you buy a certified pre-owned, and the payment is $420 a month, and you do not explain this to anyone because you have stopped performing. You increase the taxable brokerage contribution to $1,800 a month, total market index, 0.03% expense ratio, automated transfer the morning after payroll, so you never see it. You do not go to Costa Rica next summer. You go to a national park. You rent a tent cabin for 6 days. It costs $2,100 total. For the 4 of you and your children see a bear 40 yards from the trail, and your younger one cannot stop talking about it for 3 months, and the memory will outlast any villa you ever. Photographed for an audience that was never paying as much attention as you assumed. 36 months after the Tuesday, your net worth is $310,000. It is not $610,000 like Marcus. You are 3 years behind Marcus, and you are not going to pretend otherwise. But the trajectory has inverted. The machine is running in the right direction now, and the machine does not care how long it took you to turn it on. It only cares that it is on. At $310,000 compounding at historical averages, your wealth grows by approximately $21,700 this year, without a single additional contribution. That number will be larger next year. The year after, larger still. The compounding does not announce itself. It does not send emails. It does not require your attention or your applause. It runs in the background the way the HOA used to run, quietly, consistently, indifferent to whether you were watching. Except this time it is running for you. The salary was never the problem. The salary was always sufficient. The salary was more than sufficient. The salary was, from the beginning, enough to build something extraordinary if aimed correctly. You just aimed it at the reflection of wealth instead of the thing itself. That is the mistake available only to people who earn enough to make it, which is what makes it invisible, which is what makes it so expensive, which is what makes this story so common, that you could walk into any office, in any city, with a collection of high earners and find a version of this balance sheet in half the desks on the floor, carried quietly by people who have never said the real number out loud, because the real number does not match the life they have assembled around it, and matching it is not the goal, and has never been the goal. The goal, the actual goal, was always the architecture, the structure that runs when you stop running, the machine that earns while you sleep, that compounds while you are in a meeting, that builds a floor beneath your family, that no lease renewal and no market correction and no Monday morning email can reach. You have $212,000 a year. You always did. The question was never whether the salary was enough. The question was always what you were building with it. And the answer, until the Tuesday, was the wrong thing. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next.